Hello, bright lights, and welcome to my spirit room where I do all of my tarot readings. You're here for the new moon in Scorpio energy update, along with a pick a pile soul ascension tarot reading. I'm glad you're here. If you're new, welcome. It's not by chance. We've been guided together, and I look forward to sharing energy with you. If you're returning, welcome back and thank you. Before we get started, I just want to let you know that there are timestamps down below, and you can use those to navigate your way to just picking your pile and then reading your pile, or if you just want to hear the energy update, whatever it is that you're looking to do, you can easily get there quickly. Here we are in the beautiful mystery of the Scorpio mansion. Beautiful place to be, and it's a deep and interesting time to be a part of. As part of the collective, we've been going through a real realignment over the last couple weeks and even months, but really the last couple weeks for many of you, you have felt some deep stirring questions within yourself that may continue even into the next week or so, that have to do with who am I in relationship to what I'm doing? You know, how do I really feel about what it is that I'm doing with my life right now? And does it really line up with who I believe myself to be at my core? The energy over the next couple weeks are going to be all about heading into the reinforcement of the messages that we've received about this dialogue that we've been having with ourselves. So we're going to really move into embodying what that means and exploring it on a deeper level so that we can really manifest exactly the convictions that we've discovered about ourselves over the last couple weeks. Julie Peters has an interesting quote that she says, Scorpio is about cutting your own head off so you can see into the wisdom of your heart. I think that's fabulous, and that sums up Scorpio. Scorpio is sort of all or nothing. Really demands that we go into this deep place within ourselves and be very, very honest. Scorpio navigates the deepest waters within themselves and in the zodiac, and really embodies the mysterious side of being alive here, the magical and enchanted side, and even the darker side of ourself that calls us to the place of sort of the crossroads, that place where Hecate sits at and sits with the wisdom of our soul, just ready to be discovered. You know, in the Scorpio energy, Scorpios hold their cards close to their chest, and they really don't let you know what their hand is until the most opportune time, until they pull it out and lay their cards on the table and reveal to you, you know, what they've really been holding and what that power is. And so that's what's going to happen over and over again during this time as we head up to, especially as we head up to the 11/11 portal that we're going to have in November, that you can expect to be surprised by your own truth, that there will be moments of undeniable deep truth that you come face to face with during this month. And it's best to kind of just strap on, you know, get strapped into the roller coaster and get ready to ride it and see it as something thrilling, to really go into the depths of yourself, delve into who you are, embrace your darker side. You know, we're more dark matter than we are that which we see. And in the Hebrew creation story, God actually yatsas the light. And I'm probably saying that wrong for those of you who speak Hebrew, sorry. But he yatsad the light, meaning that it's not that he said, now let there be light, and he created it. He looked at the darkness and he said, light. And there was light. Because his word created from the place of that which is. Source is all-encompassing. Source is all. There is no division. Light and dark are one at the place of source. We don't have the duality that we experience here. And this next couple weeks is going to give us a chance to really get in touch with that idea of touching our darkness in a way that it brings light. And it's really a time that can be a space that is without words, a space that is so deep and so intense within us that it calls us to a place to be silent, to hold that energy and to feel it in order to know it. And I really want to encourage that for a lot of you, to just feel your way through it, to allow it to wash over you. You know, Scorpio is a water energy. Allow it to wash over and through you and bring you to a place of really understanding without words your own power, your own authenticity, and that which is hidden deep, deep within you. And for many of you, I know that the idea of darkness is really frightening, but from a soul ascension perspective, we are the light, we are the dark, we are the all, coming into knowing authenticity as a representation of both of those. And that's what paradox is. When two opposing truths coexist in the same space, we have a paradox. And it clears our mind and it brings us to a place of oneness. It brings us to a place where we're in touch with what is infinite, if only for a moment. And so you can expect a lot of those moments this month. We're definitely in this deep, resonant place. So over this next couple weeks, as we go through this energy, we do have some other things going on with Mercury that I want to talk about. So we're in the Mercury shadow phase right now as I'm recording this. And the Mercury Retrograde will begin on All's Hallowed Eve. So you can look forward to that. And Mercury actually stations on the 27th before the retrograde begins. And that is one of the most powerful days. So on the 27th, I want to encourage you, if you're watching this energy update right now, I want to encourage you to really pay attention to what's going on, your inner dialogue up here. What are you hearing from yourself? What are you really coming into a sense of the core energy of the dialogue that's going on within you? What is it that you're crying out for from the deepest level? And kind of write that down. Because as we move into the retrograde phase in November, you're really going to get a chance to look at that. You're going to get a chance for Mercury to come back and say, hey, because what happens is we started in the shadow phase and we cover some ground. And then during retrograde, we recover that ground. And I like that. It's recovering, like when we recover a treasure. And that's what happens. You're going to get a chance to recover that ground. And so a lot of the messages that you're hearing during this shadow phase as we go up to the 31st and that are prominent in your consciousness, those messages are going to be clarified, and Mercury is really going to speak to you about that. So get excited about this retrograde. It's going to be deep and it's going to be wonderful if you allow it to be. It's going to be very empowering and really about you knowing your authentic self and coming from a place of deep knowing and compassion towards self, because Scorpio is all about death and rebirth, right? So it can be heavy, it can be hard, but there is a rebirth always with Scorpio. Cutting your own head off to get a look inside there at what's going on in your heart. So it's a beautiful, spiritually powerful, unfolding time right now for us to be embracing as a collective and on a personal level. Just quickly, I want to give you a heads up to be aware of Scorpio's shadow side, which is possessiveness and control and, wanting to own and muscle things instead of flowing. There's a side of Scorpio that flows with the mystery and embraces that. And then there's a side that can become angry and resentful when energies get intense, and can choose to hold on to resentment. So be aware of that. If you're coming up against deep parts of yourself and finding yourself slipping towards resentment, slipping towards control, control's fear. Resentment is about giving away your power to someone else. That's actually a fear of wanting to take responsibility for what it is that you're feeling. And so you put it onto someone else and you decide to resent them, and you put your energy into that instead of owning your power. You give your power away. So be aware of some of these shadows as they come up. These are all cues though. If you're getting resentful, it means you're ready to let go and you're ready to take back your power, right? Again, we're heading up to the 11/11 portal in November, and that is exactly the end of this moon phase, which is amazing. So that'll be the culmination of all of this, the 11/11 portal, which is a doorway within a doorway. And my guides have been speaking to me about this portal and how important this time is right now, how important that first part of the retrograde is, because it literally is the first part of November itself, which is the second, the second half of this waxing moon energy that we're going to be enjoying with this new moon. is, in fact, the first half of the Mercury Retrograde. And it's just a beautiful time to align ourselves for that doorway within a doorway that we're coming up to in November. That's going to be exceptionally powerful from a soul ascension perspective. So, I don't want to go on and on about this, but I do want to say, as you go through this month, embrace the mystery. Enjoy this. As you go through this next 2 weeks, I should say. Embrace the mystery. Enjoy the power of sort of this seedier side of yourself, the dark alley. Take that darker path down into yourself and see what's there. Trust higher self to go with you and to take you to some places that are ready to see some light, that are ready to yatsa that light into your consciousness and bring you into a place of peace with yourself by cutting off your head to look into your heart. Okay, and so now we're going to move on to the pick a pile part of this. And before I do, I just want to give a quick description of what it is that I do. So if you are familiar with astrology, you know that there's astrology where you look up and you say, today's influences are X, Y, and Z. And then there's soul astrology. And soul astrology is all about your soul's evolution. And it really uses the planets to speak in that particular fashion. So what I do is Soul Ascension Tarot. And you can read the tarot just strictly like this is what that card means. But I personally am working on developing a really deep relationship with the cards in order to, and they are entities of themselves. They have very specific energies and they can speak to us in very specific ways. And I'm working to bring that to a place to deliver those messages in such a way that they help you on your soul's ascension, bringing your vibration up and coming into your highest self and highest expression of self. And so you'll find that my messages are often about that, about raising your vibration and using tarot in a way that helps you to be empowered to be your best self. So let's get straight to it. You're gonna, in just a second, you'll see the screen and you can pick your pile and move on to clicking down below in the description on the timestamp that will take you directly to the pile that you've picked. Here we are at the pick a pile portion of your Soul Ascension Tarot reading for the new moon in Scorpio. Here we have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3. I want to encourage you, you can pick one pile, you can go through each reading, whatever you feel is best for your soul or your spirit's development at this time. I also want to let you know that at the end of each reading, there is a special offer for this month's additional reading that you can get. And I also want to let you know that if you don't like the subtitles at the bottom of the screen, just go ahead and turn them off in your settings right now. Center yourself and pick the pile that calls you. Welcome to pile 1. You've chosen the Darkest Shadows pile, and we'll be discussing today that which is in you, that is deep within, that goes only to the place that Scorpio wants to go. A place of deep knowing and understanding of the darkest parts of yourself. In this, you're probably very familiar with shadow work, and you've been doing it for quite some time. But this month, as we move into the Scorpio energy with this new moon that's embracing us, we really come into a place where we can go deeper than we have before and unearth some things that need to be addressed from a new and fresh level. It's only right with this beautiful Scorpio intensity that we have a pile dedicated to working with our darkest shadows. So in this reading, I'll be telling you about where you are right now, as far as your shadow work goes, how you're feeling, the energy that's surrounding you, where you're going to energetically, what you'll be embracing as far as shadow work goes, dealing with your darkest parts, and the energy that gets you from here to there. And then, of course, we have a spell card at the end that I'll discuss. I also have a special offer at the end so that you can get 3 extra cards to go with this reading if you're so inclined. I first want to remind you that if the subtitles at the bottom of the screen are bothering you, you can go to your settings on the right bottom there and just remove those. Some of you like to read as we go along. So our first card is the energies that you're at right now doing your shadow work. And it's the 9 of Wands, lots of Wands energy in this reading, as you can see. And this reading discusses the energies that you'll be experiencing for the next 2 weeks and what you're stepping into. And you're stepping in from this place of hopefully leaving it all on the mats, leaving it all out there. You've put yourself into it. As we went through this waning moon energy, there was a huge realignment that occurred in all of you. And where you are right now is feeling quite tired, quite like you've found a place that feels safe enough to hunker down in, and you just want to stay there for a little bit. You just want to kind of patch your wounds and come into a place where you can regroup yourself, because the work that you've been doing in Shadowland is very intense. You see here a battle-weary young man, and he is surrounded by 8 wands. The last one he holds in his hand, almost like it's holding him up. He's so tired. His shirt is torn. His head is bandaged. He's definitely seen better days. The landscape looks parched. You know, it's really a place where there's been a siege. And so for many of you, you're coming out of this place over the last couple weeks with this last moon energy that really brought you to a place of doing shadow work in a way that you hadn't expected. For many of us, especially because we went into the Mercury shadow phase during this, we've been in a place of really asking ourselves very deep questions about who we are and what it is that we're doing with who we are in this world. And for many of you, there's been this realignment that has occurred because of that, where you've probably let go of some big things in your life, and you've come to some conclusions of who you don't want to be. For a lot of you, that means that you decided to get a new job, or give up a partner, or make a move to somewhere else, but you reached the end of something and you knew that you simply had to grab onto your personal integrity and live that. And that's been going on for the collective as a whole. But for those of you who are in this reading right now and hearing this, I just want to say you've been doing great. And as you walk into the energy of the new moon, you're coming into it feeling tired and ready for a rest. And that's exactly what you should do at the beginning of this new moon phase. Really enjoy that dark energy. Realize that Rome isn't built in a day, and we usually make intentions for what we want to do and create. And of course, Wands is about creation. But for you, you've spent so much time over the last couple weeks, or maybe even months, coming to a place within yourself of understanding who you want to be in order to create that you need to take a little bit of rest and regroup. You've been facing your shadows for a while, and you've been doing amazing at it. It's as though maybe in your life, so many things around you have crumbled and come to a point of just devastation, or maybe you've leveled them yourself by creating your own boundaries. But you're definitely at this place in which you're really ready for some newness, some freshness in the realm of working with shadows. And I just want to assure you that you are going to move into a different place of doing your shadow workings. Although Scorpio is all about that deep, dark place and energy that we have within us at all times, you're definitely at a place where you just need to find some safety and watch what's going on around you and be assured of the work that you've done right now. It's time to withdraw and regroup. So again, enjoy this dark moon, enjoy the dark moon energy of it. Allow yourself to rest and sort of percolate in that, and come from a place of, if you're going to be setting intentions, come from a place when it comes to shadow work of realizing that the darkest places are ones that you've already gone to, and it's now a matter of taking that work and refining it into something new and a little bit fresher. In other words, be aware that what it is that's going on within you right now and the work that you've done is definitely going to go through a refinement process. And you're going to come out the other end with that shadow work into a place of community within self, a place where that hard work has vision and can pay off. And this is hard-earned vision. This is vision that you've gotten by going to those dark places, by being very honest with yourself about who you no longer want to be. You've come to an end in that, and you have done the work to offer up that darkest part of yourself, to look it in the eye and to really say, I can embrace who I truly am and leave the shadows behind. Be aware that Scorpio energy really appreciates the unearthing of the mysteries that you now hold in your hand, that you've come to know about yourself. And she's really willing to walk with you into this next stage. So now that you've done that immense work and with yourself, you're going to take that in your hand and you're really going to carry it into something new over the next couple of weeks. And that energy carries you into the Four of Wands. And in the Druidcraft deck, you actually see a fire here. Wands are really, from a Jungian perspective, about emotive things, the creative emotion within us that moves us to do and build and create. It's not like cups, which is very nuanced. It's very base and therefore extremely moving. The Four of Wands represents that kernel of innovation within the self that comes along when we've reached a revelatory place in our ascension, and we come to that place where we're ready to really embrace without compromise who we are. It represents a communal act where the community comes together. A lot of times this is called the wedding card, where the community comes together to bless something that's been initiated and therefore created and ready to manifest into something larger. Our shadow work is deeply personal, so when we speak about community here, we're talking more about the idea of community of self, the idea of maybe parts of yourself that you've discovered during this time that have been strengthened within you, that then come together to create a unified vision of who it is that you want to be and how you want to express that. And that is born out of that shadow work. That is born out of that dark place that's been revealed. Scorpio energy is that energy of all or nothing. And the Four of Wands definitely demands an all or nothing attitude. It's that I'm not going to compromise. I will move forward. I must succeed because I can accept nothing but my best. Again, fours are always about stability. When we think of four, we think of four legs on a table and how a table can support many things. We can place many things on it. We can put out our plans on the table and look at them. You know, we can put a meal on there to eat and nourish ourselves, right? A table is something stable from which to make plans and to move forward and to bring ourselves into a place of civilization in a way. So, and that's exactly what this is, this energy of building something new out of who you are and what you've discovered over here in this shadow time. And this is really going to be about you grabbing your personal power and understanding who you really are and taking those community members, those pieces of yourself that you've really discovered during this time and embracing them. I just want to encourage you, because you are feeling weary right now, that the idea of building something that's all or nothing might be a little overwhelming. But you will get some fresh energy as you acknowledge these parts of yourself and the moon energy begins to gain. And what you're building is what is born out of the shadows. The strongest parts of yourself that you've come to know are coming together to create this vision. And the Temperance card is how you're going to get there. This card right here is linked to Raphael, the healing angel. You can see he kind of looks a little bit like that. And here you see the angel in all his glory, and it's green and lush, and there's a foot on land and a foot in water. And then you see he has two chalices. And is the water moving up or is the water moving down? They're moving between the two chalices. And some people might think of this as alchemy, but it's a different type of alchemy. It's actually more like distillation. It's taking the dross out of your life, taking that which is impure from that work that you've done over here and transmuting it and pulling out all of that which isn't the pure part of it and pulling it over to here, where you can see instead of all of these things that are presenting themselves, we just see these 4 strong wands of creative energy that then present themselves within you after that distillation process has come along. And distillation is one that comes from high heat. High heat comes in. If you're distilling alcohol, it would boil, it would come up through a coil where it was cooled, and what would come out the other end would be the pure part, the pure essence that was left over. The depth of the Scorpio energy this month really makes this part of your ascension path about embracing small changes. In order to get from here to here, that pure place, it's going to be over the next couple weeks about looking very carefully and distilling out what is unnecessary in your thought life in order to come to that purer form. And Scorpio is fabulous at this because they are the queen of mystery. Scorpio brings you to that place of uncovering the mysterious, of knowing what can't be known. It's all about intuition. And definitely when we come to the Temperance card, this is going to be that power, that fire in your life right now that's going to distill what coming from here to there, which is your power of intuition, and really embracing that, embracing what you know without words. I think that often we look for words to describe what's going on within us, and we move away from feeling our way through to the other side of things. And ultimately, the more we put words on it, the more we chop it up and take it away from its purest form, the more we actually bring it into something that moves away from that more source-like energy that we want to be embracing. We want to be transmuting this energy from here to here, and we need to do it with the higher mind. We need to do it with a mind that's hooked up to source, to that part of ourselves that really believes in our higher ascension path and who we are and the mission that we're on to become ourselves and display that, to build something that is true and real, not based on what anybody else says should be or any other words that people might put into your life and around you. And I guess that's a caveat that I would have for those of you who are drawing this pile. If you're moving from this place to this place, keep your secrets. Keep it within you. Hold all of that within you. Let your deep and dark places come forward into the light and illuminate what's going on within you. Don't ask others to illuminate it for you in a way that allows them to chop up and spit out your dream. What you need is your aligned consciousness that's been refined from source, from your deepest intuition, to take you to this place of strength and understanding self, so that you can build that dream of who you are. And that does come out of that deep knowing and that deep place of having done the work of releasing from those darkest places. Remember that Scorpio season is all about death and rebirth, all that shadow work, that death that you've done of bringing things to the light and letting the darkness die and coming into this place of rebirth where you've taken that and distilled it and you hold it in your hand now and you prize it because you've hard fought for it. You have won that place in yourself that you knew was always there. Our spell card for you, those of you who are working on your deepest, darkest shadows, is Magical Powers. Isn't that great? I mean, what a wonderful card to get. I weave and clear, I cast and know. Magic secrets to me now show. As you begin your journey from here to here, I always encourage you to use your own magic, to really come into a place of allowing that to come out of you, to allow there to be some enchantment in your life that you weave into every day so that you can see the energy and play with the energy in your life. Come into a place of honoring what's going on by working with it. And magic is perfect for that. And let me just say, magic is that place that we tap into, our place of knowing our power and wielding our power from a playful place of knowing. Wielding your power from a playful place of knowing. And that means you have to be willing to play, and you have to be willing to know. You have to be willing to know yourself, and you have to be willing to play along with that. So, magical powers. Perfect with Scorpio, who loves mystique and a good costume. Now's the time to maybe pick up a persona to really think about what it is that you've left behind at this time and what core you've come to know, and really come into a place where you decide to do something really fun to weave that magic into your life. And know that you've got 2 weeks of gaining energy to really bring you into a place of practicing and playing with the components that you've found in yourself. Let me just make a quick side note here. For me, I love magic. It's my thing. I love Harry Potter, and I love to walk in the woods, and I love the whimsy of earth and the power of the river and the sky and the moon. And I choose a life that reflects that. I choose to engage in that. When you were a child and you engaged in make-believe, the sky was the limit. And we forget how to do that as we get older. And I want to encourage you, during this Scorpio season right now, it's a perfect time to indulge yourself in being more playful in your imagination and pulling on that spirit realm and pulling it down into your everyday life by using magical principles. In my last video, I talk about all sorts of different ways to bring magic into your life, but it's really about you coming into that place of realizing that you do have this magical power. And what is that? That's the power of creation within you, the power to manifest and be a master manifester, to be the alchemist that pulls the unseen into the seen realm, to have that vision and to really pull it in. Maybe you want to make a manifestation box. Maybe you want to just spend time in the morning getting grounded and walking out and verbally doing spell work or enchantments over your life. Maybe for you, your greatest form of magical power is in meditation, where you go into your mind palace and you pull that magical place down into reality because you fix your consciousness on it, and you shift those energies and you transmute your consciousness into manifestation. Whatever that is for you, I encourage you to experiment, to play, allow that sort of dark and mysterious energy that Scorpio offers, that intuitive place that we're in right now as we grow towards Halloween this week, to really dive in and enjoy all that it has to offer for us. That space where the veil is thin right now and we feel our intuition and we feel it around us. We feel it as the days are changing and we're moving towards this place of deeply knowing from within ourselves, not with eyes that we see that are on our face, but the eye that's in the midst of our head, our pineal gland that hooks us up to higher consciousness and source in all things. I want to encourage you that you really are that powerful. And your magic, whatever you choose to make it as, however you choose to play with that, is valid and magnificent. Allow yourself to be powerful. And now for my offer. First, I'd like to encourage you to sign up for my newsletter by going to my website and waiting for the pop-up. When you do that, you'll get my newsletter once a week with a tarot energetic forecast. And you'll also receive a coupon for the upcoming 11/11 portal reading. But this week's special offer is if you would like to receive 3 personalized cards for yourself. 1 tarot card that's your superpower card for creating during the next 2 weeks. And an area of surrender card, an area that you need to pull yourself into a greater amount of surrender in order to know your true power. A lot of times we're stuck in controlling in areas, and because of that we stifle our ability to manifest what's going on in our lives. So a surrender card. And then a soul meditation card. Along with this, you'll get a picture of your card, all 3 cards, and then you'll also receive a recorded message where I interpret the cards for you specifically. And there's a link for this reading down below. I'm only going to do 10 of them. So jump on it if you really want to do it. Until we meet again, I just want to encourage you that you are lovely, that you are powerful, that what you're going through is valuable and it will not last forever. So be present in your now, make the most of it, and make it magical. Welcome to pile 2, which is the pile of your brightest light, or how you're moving into your highest vibration at this time. This is a 4-card reading. We first have your energy of where you're at right now on how you are shining your brightest, where you're going in shining your brightest. That seems counterintuitive, but we'll talk about that, and how you're going to get there. Lastly, we have a spell card since we are moving into the Scorpio month and All Hallowed Eve. Let's do some magic. Let's talk about making magic, and we're going to talk about this spell card at the end. At the very end of this, I have a special offer on a way that you can get 3 personal card reading if you are so interested, that comes with a recorded message about the cards that I draw for you personally. Let me just say, if you are frustrated with the subtitles at the bottom of the screen, you can turn those off in your settings. I know that many of you like to have those on, but some of you don't. So you can remove them if they're getting in the way of you seeing the cards. Where you're at right now is 6 of Swords. And this is such an interesting rendition of this card. Usually what we see is a boat with the swords in it, and a ferryman is ferrying them over. And so right now where you're at is this place in shining of safe passage, this place of moving away from this part of yourself that wasn't quite working into this place that feels right and feels authentic in who you are. In this case, you would be the ferryman with a specific knowledge of navigating the waters that you're in, but also the people in the boat, which represents parts of yourself. And here we see a young knave taking off, swords on his back, moving to a new place by the light of the moon. Since we've recently come out of this place over this last 2 weeks to even months for some of you, of really coming to this place of understanding who you are and who you are not. And so I think this is apropos. The way that you're shining right now is by moving away from who you know that you're not any longer, and making the decision to really do that. Making that decision to move on to shining, to move away from those things that are darker within you into a place where you really feel like you're embodying that higher vibration. And you're doing that through actually moving in that direction. And I really feel like for a lot of you, this may be a very distinct move away from, because when we move towards something, the other side of it is that we're moving away from. So you could be moving away from addiction. You could be moving away from a relationship that wasn't working. You could have even made a physical move away from a place that didn't represent who you were any longer. And so now you're moving to a new place, a new physical place. But I feel like for a lot of you listening to this right now, it really is very specifically that there was some kind of major shift, not just a shift internally, although some of you, this could just be a major shift internally that you made. I feel like for myself, there were some major shifts internally that occurred in the last couple weeks. But for a lot of you, you actually did something very bold in your life so that your light could get stronger and your vibration could come up. This card really denotes a special kind of knowing within yourself that you've come to this place where you've watched your life, you've watched the seasons and cycles, you've become familiar with it, and because of that, you've chosen the right time to make your move. And that's exactly where you are right now, in that place of making that move, which is perfect for this new moon, this nice dark moon energy in Scorpio, this mystery, this place of just beginning, right? Of the energies about to begin to move up and forward and out and begin to expand that waxing into that waxing moon energy. And now we move. Oh, look, my beetles have come in. They've come in to join us. So now we move from the 6 energy over to the 8 of Swords. And I know that swords cards tend to be a little disturbing for people, and it's just best to try to understand that they're really about deep soul development on a level that is highly mental and acute and sometimes cutting. But we need that sharpness in our life at times to really bring clarity and truth to us. And so we see an increase in energy from the 6 to the 8 on your adventure as you move into your highest vibration. And typically, first of all, let's just, spoiler alert, the 8 of Swords upright usually means success. So let's start there. This is about navigating the obstacles that have come up for you. We start at the beginning of any suit and we're at the aces where there's infinite potential and there's excitement and there's lots of energy and you're ready to go. And then you move through methodically through the energies and you raise your vibration up through each lesson. So here we're making a jump from the 6 to the 8. And so you find yourself in a place where you've crossed over and now you want to come to this place of understanding who that is and actually implementing it. This is the place where the rubber hits the road. And so over this next couple weeks, you're going to see that. You're going to see that place of you've made that decision of crossing over and leaving something behind. And now you have to live that and you have to navigate the obstacles that are in this new territory, because obviously when we move from one place to another, we're in a new space. Moving into that brighter light, that higher vibration is definitely assured when you use the 5 of Cups to get you there. And again, in a lot of decks, this seems kind of like a sad story. You can see this girl here, she's staring at these 3 spilt cups. And then there's 2 cups up on the table. They're waiting for her at her party, right? It's a party and she's kind of sad. But there's this whole table and this banquet behind her just waiting. And so it's really important to remember as you're moving from this energy here into this energy of navigating the obstacles, of the rubber hitting the road, of you really having to choose that decision that you've made. It's not about what you don't have. It's about what you do have. And in the Tarot of the Holy Light, this card is exemplified by a large cup in the center, and there's a bucket of water being poured into it, and a bunch is going out, but it's remaining upright. And then there's other cups around it that are spilled over, and therefore not vessels that can hold what they need. But the truth of the matter is that everything that you need to get you through is already there and available to you. It has been poured into your cup and you're ready to drink from it. You have only to turn around. If you're feeling trapped, I mean, look, her hands are in front of her. She can easily just move the blindfold off and navigate her way out of those swords. It's not like they're so close together that she can't make her way out. It's simply a matter of choosing what she has, of realizing that she's not helpless. You know, that this isn't all that there is. What you're looking at is not all there is. She's blindfolded at this point. So if you reach a point in the next couple of weeks where you're wondering, oh my God, why did I make this choice? Now I'm at this place where I'm having to really choose this. Can I? Yes, you can. Everything you need is within you. All the energy you need, all the resources that you need are within you. They've been granted to you. It's more than enough for you on this journey, and you are totally ready and equipped. As a matter of fact, you are clever enough to get yourself out of this situation. So remember, come back in that Scorpio energy is what's really going to help you, because Scorpio is that all or nothing. And when you decided to make that move in your life and yourself to move to that higher vibration, you were at a revelatory place where you made a choice. Yes, I'm choosing myself. I'm choosing my higher vibration. I'm choosing my brighter light. I'm choosing to move in that direction and really embrace who I know myself to be without compromise. And that Scorpio energy is really going to help you, because Scorpio is not about compromise. Scorpio is about unearthing the depths of personal power and putting it to play in order to get to the ultimate outcome that they have conceived of. There's no obstacle too big for a Scorpio. They will simply maneuver around it. And you want to really use that energy. And you want to use that energy of that waxing moon, that building energy that you're going to be feeling, that creative power within yourself. Check in. If you're getting bummed out over the next couple weeks or feeling overwhelmed or trapped by the situation that you dove into, just remember, turn around, stop looking at this. Your key is not to look at what you don't have, but to look at what you do have. You did all this work to understand who you really are, and now is the time to grab a hold of that and believe in yourself with everything that you have in you, everything that you have in you. And it's there. You are beautiful. You are hooked up to source. You are really ready for this moment. This now is the place that you want to be. You are ready to shine brighter than you ever have, and you've positioned yourself to do that. And you're really going to be doing that over this next couple of weeks. So let's talk about our magic, our spell card here. Our magic spell card for the next couple weeks for those of you on this journey into shining brighter and raising your vibration is psychic protection. Around me now a shield of gold, protecting me strong and bold. Look at that. He's got that shield up there, and it's just everything else is bouncing off. So I do have a psychic shielding video, and you should check that out. I'll try to put it up on the screen up there. Actually, I think it's going to be... psychic shielding and psychic protection is important because when you choose to make a choice and a move, you put yourself in a place where you feel a little bit more vulnerable because you're in unknown territory. And so using psychic shielding to really place some protection on your mind. And that means being aware of your boundaries, being aware of who you are. When you really stand in your power and who you are, and you choose to commit to who you are, when something comes seemingly against you, a different energy, maybe something comes in that sort of challenges your way of thinking, that is a moment for you to realize and keep your integrity of who you are, to stand in your personal power and to be shielded by the power of I am. This is who I am. And again, I want to say, just like I did in my last video, if you haven't watched that, there's 7 magical principles on there you can look at. But really, it's not about coming against. Remember, when we decide to come against and resist something, we actually magnetize it. We give it importance and we give it energy and we call it into our lives. So it's best not to be against things, but rather to be for ourselves, to be for the choice that we made to be ourselves, to be for the journey that we're on, embracing our personal power and realize that we are never victims. You are never a victim. You are only a victim when you choose to give your power to someone else. So keep your power. And the more you keep your power and the more you know who you are and stay in that boundary and in that place, the more you will be able to feel psychically shielded from any type of attack that might come your way. And by attack, I mean energies that come in that are unexpected and not... There are times that we are moving along on our path and something comes along out of left field, and it's good to examine, why did that energy come to me? How did I draw that to myself? And sometimes it's just simply that something old is trying to come around, and it's just so that you can reinforce who you are. So remember, you've already made that choice. It's really about upholding that. And that's going to bring you that psychic protection that you really need over the next couple weeks as the energy begins to rise within you and bring you up to this new level of overcoming all those obstacles, the rubber hitting the road, and you succeeding immensely. And now for my offer, for those of you who are interested. First of all, I want to encourage you to sign up for my newsletter by going to my website and waiting for the pop-up to come up. And when you do that, you'll receive my newsletter once a week. And this coming week, you're going to receive a $5 off coupon for my 11/11 portal reading. So if you're interested, go ahead and sign up there. There's a link down below. Next is my 3-card reading. So if you'd like to add on to this, if you'd like to have 3 cards that tell you about the next 2 weeks and how you can maximize this time for yourself, I have a 3-card reading available. There's a link down below, and those 3 cards are: number 1, a tarot card, which represents your superpower card. This is the energy that you can really lean into. It's energy that's already within yourself, but it's also energy that's right now in abundance available that can help you in creating over the next 2 weeks during this rising moon energy. There's a surrender card, and that tells you about the area that you need to lay down. Oftentimes we try to control in our life, and when we get hyper controlling, we actually limit our now. And instead of having the flow of energy being something that's abundant, it becomes a place of lack that we live in, and we need to surrender. So there's a surrender card there and a soul card meditation. With this, you get a picture of your 3 cards, and then I have a recording, voice recording that I will give you of me interpreting those 3 cards for you. So if you're interested in that, there is a link down below that you can click on. I just want to say, until we meet again, I want you to know that you are special, that you are beautiful, that you are perfect, that you are hooked up to source and shining immensely. The work you do matters, and you matter. You are a beautiful shining light in this world that is helping to bring creation to this place of ascension. And I'm so grateful for every single one of you. Until we meet again, don't forget the choice that you made to cross over. Don't forget that you decided that you did not want to submit to a reality that was less than the power you know yourself to be. Namaste. Welcome to pile 3. This is the realm of your ancestral work that you have been doing, that which relates to your base chakra and the energies that you're moving through in that area. I thought I'd tip my hat to the Scorpio energy, and of course to All Hallowed Eve, when the veil is thin and we celebrate Dia de los Muertos. So here we go, pile 3. For those of you who picked this one, you must really be working out some things, clearing up your karma from the past and coming into a place of the strengths that your ancestors are bringing to you. Your first card right here is where you are right now with that ancestral work. Over here is where you'll be going with that ancestral work over the next 2 weeks, what you'll be working through. And right here is your bridge card, the energy that gets you from here to there. And over here we have our spell card for the week. Let's add a little bit of magic into what we're doing, and we'll talk about that lastly. Here we are at card 1, which is where you are right now with the ancestral work, or that base chakra, that first chakra that grounds us and ties us to tribe. So for many of you, you may be very conscious that you're doing ancestral work, and some of you may have some aha moments about how energetically you're freeing yourself up or taking a hold of ancestral lineage that you are a part of. I find it fascinating that 2 of these cards actually showed up in another pile reading, so this is really something that we're looking, an energy that's really coming down on us. So we're going to interpret this energy specifically from an ancestral perspective. So for those of you who have been going through the last couple weeks, you're noticing a lot of questions that you've been asking yourself that are rather poignant about your life and who it is that you want to be. And you may be really feeling right now old ideas about who you are and what is right. And these could be linked to cultural norms. So if you're from a culture that really dictates what it is you should or should not be doing with yourself because of race, religion, creed, sexual orientation, it could be a number of things, but dictate your norms. You could be really looking at how what you've always been taught to do either does really line up with who you are at your authentic self, or maybe you're feeling that tension there. You're really feeling pushed by that energy in a way that's causing you to examine, is this really who I am? And do I want to own this as my own story? Or is this a story that was put on me some time ago, maybe from, many, many ancestors long ago? So you could be looking at right now stories about control that you find in your life where you come up against a schism within yourself where you're wanting the freedom to really express yourself, and then you're feeling stifled. If you haven't noticed that this is an ancestral story and you picked this pile, I want to encourage you, because this is where you are right now, to look at that. Is this a story that I got from my mom or my grandmother or from my culture or from a religion that I grew up with? And is it causing me to be in a place where I'm stifled and I don't actually have the ability to express my authority of self? Now, I'm not telling you to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but if you're really feeling that level of something's coming over and controlling you, a lot of times that's a place where you are disempowered within yourself, and there may even be areas of fearful energy that are keeping you stuck in an energetic pattern that you're perpetuating. And it's a great time right now with the veil thinning and is this being Scorpio season to deal with some of these ancestral things that you can work with. And our spell card over here is really going to give you some ideas on how you can do that. The other side of this is that because of the types of energy that are coming up right now with the intensity of the Mercury shadow that's coming along right now and having us examine some of these things, and the fact that we just went through this waning moon energy that's pulling a lot out of us, we now find ourselves in a place where, wow, maybe you were at a point where you were just kind of holding it together emotionally. And this could be related to family members. Maybe you've had a family tension within, and you just know you have to keep it together. It's everything that you've been doing to just hold yourself together and keep yourself from breaking down and getting overly emotional, because you know you cannot disintegrate into a mess right now at this time, that will not serve you. And so you're really doing your best to live from your highest self and to hold it together and work towards unity of self while honoring the people around you. And I want to commend you if that's you in a family situation like that. As you look at ancestral energies, some of them serve us and some of them do not serve. And so your question is, when you're looking at something, a tradition or a way of thinking or a religious aspect, something that comes from your family lineage, and you need to ask yourself, who is benefiting from this mindset? Is it me? Is this bringing me the liberation of self that I need? And that's really your test, because you want to be able to move over into your future card here. And moving from here to here is going to take quite a bit of strength, let me tell you. You're headed into the 9 of Wands energy. And I want to put out here the Tarot of the Holy Light, which is quite a bit different, as you can see in this card. You have this volcano in the background, and there's like this beautiful vine, but here's the 9 wands, and then down here is a little cave. And it's kind of hard to see even when I have the card up close, but there's a goat and a wolf in that cave together, and they are hiding out. You're moving into a place, you're coming from this place of understanding some of the ideas that are coming to the forefront of your mind. And as you get over here, these energies are really going to come to bear down on your mind in the intensity of the Scorpio energy. And that's because Scorpio demands all or nothing. And so during this time, when you really find yourself in deep examination of the pressures that are coming to bear on your soul, and it is going to be soul bearing when you do this ancestral work, especially this time of year, that you're going to find yourself really needing to run and hunker down in that cave. And while you're there, you may find within yourself that you actually align, and you find a friend in a strange or odd place. That the lion, the wolf and the goat down there together, abiding together. You may actually find within yourself that there's a part of you that's willing to hang out with a part of your ancestral self and lineage that gives you a sense of security and safety long enough to push through to your own authenticity. And that's really where you're trying to get to, is this place of authenticity, because it's related to your base chakra. And our base chakra is all about tribe. And we have our tribe. We have the tribe that we're born to, and the lineage that we're born into. And of course, we don't really decide whether to embrace this or not. We're simply born into it, and so we do. And we pick up so many ideas and thoughts of social norms and rights and wrongs along the way. And then there comes a point where within ourselves, all of that begins to break apart, and we have to move away from that sense of tribe in order to find out really who our own distinct self is. But the truth of the matter is, in the hero's journey, he actually returns home to the people that he left behind. And so in many ways, this time is about making peace, maybe making that journey away from those social norms, discovering what they are, deciding what parts of your ancestral self you need to move away from, and then coming back towards after all this has died down. But for now, you're going to be moving into this place of needing some space to think and watch the scenery and watch the stresses. And so I'd really tell you that over the next couple weeks as you transition, that you're going to need this strength card that's in the middle. Strength, in this essence, when you look at this card, you can clearly see here that she's standing there with a wild boar next to her, and her hand is on it. She's not subduing it by forcing it or pushing it aside, or, in some of them it kind of shows her hand in the mouth and kind of opening the mouth. She doesn't even need to do that. Her mere presence and personage of self creates a peace that this boar naturally just submits to. In the natural order of things, there's a hierarchy that's created, and her energy is the one that is dominant. Her energy is the one that's on top and is calling the shots. And so this is what you need. You need your authenticity during this time as you really begin to look at these issues within yourself, within your ancestral line. And again, the veil is so thin right now as we move up to All Hallows Eve. It's so thin right now. It's a chance to really speak with your ancestors and have this space of coming up close and personal with them and their beliefs and what it is that they've brought to the table, and making peace with that. And you may need to just use that personal integrity to stand over here and stand your ground and hunker down and watch as you see those stresses come to the forefront of your mind during this waxing energy of the moon. Really embrace that. Embrace all of the different ideologies as they come up, especially because we're going to have Mercury Retrograde coming around. What kind of messages is Mercury going to bring you about your tribe, about the tribe that you came from, about your ancestral power and the places that you align and don't align? And when you find that special place that you can hunker down to rest, because the Nine of Wands is really about being a little bit weary of the battle and needing to stop and rest. And so you are moving from a place of wrestling to a place of rest and getting a worldview of yourself. And that worldview is coming from that place of not forcing anything, of simply waiting, of simply knowing your power, of waiting on that power to arise out of you. This is a time to go deep within. So for many of you, as you face this, and I brought up tribe here, there's a sense of wanting your greater tribe to come along. And so that's going to mean for many of you that you have to let go of some of these ideas about who you are that you picked up from other people. You're going to need to really stand in your personal power and say, that's not really who I am. You're going to need to come into a place of rest and recuperation, because sometimes when we face things that are that deep within us, ideas of self, and this, I'm just picking this up for somebody out there, whether this is sexual orientation or gender identity or marrying outside of your own class or sect. I'm thinking that there's some of you out there that are going to face some big decisions about who you want to be in relationship to who you're supposed to be. And you're going to have to just come in and hunker down for a bit and really rest in the assurance of who you are and know in the end it's all going to play out, because this is a 9 energy. That means you're really close to that 10, that culmination of energy that gets you to that place of really knowing yourself, knowing who you are, and being able to embody that and actualize that. This brings us to our spell card, organization. And that doesn't sound incredibly magical. But when you look at this card in the midst of these two things, you have all of these swords all around, and then you have this wounded warrior here in this place of needing rest. Organization actually is a beautiful magic for this time. So, at the bottom of this card, it says, purpose, planning, efficiency now come to me so easily. And when I think of organization, I think of having an order that allows me to have the stability in my life that I need, that gets the little things out of the way, that makes my life actually easier. And I think during this time, that's exactly what you need to be doing, is really organizing your outside life in a way that brings the freedom that you need to be able to do such deep work. This is very deep work that we're talking about here. This is the type of work where you're really coming to terms with whether you're going to make that choice to be yourself. And when you are looking at making such a radical change in yourself and maybe moving away from something from your past, or you could actually be moving towards ancestral birthrights that are very ancient, that have to do with a different kind of abundance or magic that maybe is not as accepted in your world, but you're still making that choice. It's not something that you have sown in the past or embraced, and so you're now making a cut and deciding to go in that direction. Organizing your life can bring a real sense of security during a time of such an extreme shift and change of thought. So, when we talk about magic, it's hard to say that organizing is magical, but it very much can be. If you're going about ordering your life, think about the energy that you're putting into that. Think about the power that comes from deciding how you're going to set up your life and what that means to really channel that energy into what you're doing, whether that's cleaning something out and getting rid of old stuff. If for some of you, when we're talking about ancestors, it might not be that long ago. This could be cleaning out the cobwebs when it comes to trauma involving ancestors and deciding to let go of certain things in your life. You could be letting go of photos. You could be letting go of, there could be some physical things that you need to let go of in your home that are linked to people that are related to trauma from your past, that you can then give up in a way that frees up that energy. And you can do so in a magical way if you want to. You can make a ceremony to do that if you want. But also, when you organize your house, you can use the magic of prayer to really pray over your house and pray over your objects as you go through them and organize them. If you want, you can set up an ancestral altar. This is a perfect time of the year to set up an ancestral altar, to take out some pictures of those ancestors that you love or people that you have passed that you miss, and make a special place in the home that honors them, where you pass by them as you're doing this deep work. You look at them and you engage with them in your soul in a way that's much more deep by honoring the path that they forged for you in many ways. And although you may be looking at wanting to rid yourself of some of the things that your ancestors brought to you and the ways in which they instructed you, I just want to encourage you that there are many good things, and you do want to be honoring the sacrifices that your ancestors made in order to bring you to this place and to give you the energy that they had, because you wouldn't be you without them. And I know that for some of you, that's really hard, especially if you're giving up trauma. All of our soul ascension work that we do is for the purpose of coming into our highest expression of self And know that everything you do during this time to face your ancestral path and the tribe that you have come from, you bring yourself up higher and higher and higher in vibration to the place where you can really express the self that you long to express on this planet. And that helps not just you, but future generations. Someday you will be someone's ancestor. And now for my offer for those of you that are interested in that extra 3 cards that you can get. This month, there's a 3-card reading that I'm offering. The first card that you will get is a tarot card, and that is your superpower card that's going to allow you to use the energy over the next 2 weeks as the moon waxes and we do intentional work in ourselves to create in your life. So this is the energy that is most beneficial for you to use during that time. The next card is a surrender card. Often when we're in situations like this, we again can get controlling when we're moving into so much change and clearing that we need to move into a place of surrender so that the energy begins to flow more fully. So there's a surrender card. And then there is a soul meditation card. This reading comes with a picture of your cards, and it also comes with a recorded audio that I do where I read your cards for you, and those are emailed to you. There's a link in the description if you're interested in that, but there's only 10 of them that I'm offering this month. So if you want it, you better jump on it. Lastly, I would love it if you'd sign up for my newsletter. There's a link below as well, and you can go to my website, simply wait for the pop-up, and give your name and your email address, and you'll get my once a week tarot forecast. It's got tarot tips in it, and this week there'll be a coupon for $5 off the 11/11 reading that's coming up. Thank you so much for being you. Thank you so much for doing the work. Thank you so much for honoring your path. Thank you so much for honoring your ancestors and being an ancestor to someone else who will love and uphold the magic that you've created for them. This next 2 weeks, be kind to yourself and listen to Mercury. He really wants to bring you to a place of understanding yourself and your ancestral path in a new and exciting way. Listen to what you're hearing about yourself, and don't dissolve into a puddle, but rather hunker down and watch the energies go by so that you can make those decisions. While you're at it, don't forget to organize your life and let go of that which needs to be let go of, and put into place that which you're hoping to honor and will bless you in the future. Until we meet again, namaste.